This is Hayden Lerman from SHC TV, and today I'm very lucky to be joined once again over Zoom by British and Commonwealth Bantamweight champion Ash Lane. It was found the magnificent seven card where he takes on Andrew Cain. So yeah, mate, like I say, obviously you've been very, very busy since we last spoke, winning the British and the Commonwealth by defeating Chris Bork in the sixth back in March. So yeah, how sore was that whole time period for you?
Hectic, obviously, I was training for the fight, um, just going through the motions, nothing I needed to do. And it was, a little busy with a couple of interviews here and there, but I was just, in the zone, I was focused. They had the fight, and it just all blew up for a couple of weeks, it was just absolutely manic, going to different places, taking the belt, seeing different people, different interviews on a daily basis. But it's calmed down a lot now, and it's nice to be back in camp and hitting it hard.
100%, mate. So, in the last interview we did, you said that your dream was to become Northampton's first British champion. How did that sort of feel to, put that dream into reality?
I mean, like, it's weird because you think people always strive for like a target, a bit of success, like, and when you reach that, it's never quite what you think it would be. So I mean, I won the title, and like you kind of expect um like different outcomes from achieving it, but nothing really kind of sprung out and happened on a major basis. So like I mean, it's kind of like it almost feels like it hasn't happened in a way, but that's nice because I mean, it keeps the hunger there. I mean, I have new goals and new ambitions now, and so it's good. It keeps you grounded. I mean, you can get taken away with a limelight too much. So I'm very grounded and I'm happy.
That's good to hear. So obviously, looking forward onto this upcoming fight, you're taking on Andrew Cain, 11-1, on, like I say, the Magnificent Seven card, massive card, Resorts World Arena in Birmingham. How did that sort of come about, and how long have you known about it? Did it sort of come off the back of that last fight?
So I mean, like a couple of weeks before the fight, Andrew Kane's manager and coach said that they were looking at fighting the winner of me and Borg. I'd never I'd never even watched Andrew Kane before. I didn't know who it was, so I didn't really pay too much attention. And then I beat Borg, and I saw the Frank Warren said about the fight, and then I was interviewed by International Boxing News about the fight, and I still had never even seen Andrew Kane box, so I didn't know what his record was. I didn't know anything about him, so you know, uh, I couldn't really say too much. And then I think he boxed in April or something. So I mean, I stayed up, I watched the fight. It was a good performance for Andrew Kane. Can't lie, he looked good. Doing what I had to do. He didn't beat anybody of any magnificence. He was a journeyman that's been stopped before. Um, so I mean, he looked good beating him, but he was a journeyman. The level wasn't great. Um, so yeah, I mean, I stayed up, I watched that, and then my manager rang me the next day and said, I was speaking to Queensbury, and it looks like the fight's going ahead with Andy Kane. I said, fine, cool, yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, end of the day, you got to fight who you got to fight. So I think it was the day after Andrew's last fight was when I got the call and said, we've made a deal. If you're happy with it, we'll go with it. I said, yeah.
So yeah, then obviously on to training, you're in camp now. How's sort of training been going so far? And have you been training it differently to any other fights, maybe? Obviously, with that pressure of being the British champion, or has it sort of been similar? How's training been?
No, well, I'm not changing anything in training. We've got a nice few weeks. So, I mean, it's nice because before the Jordan Perkins fight, I was working with Lee Haskins and just Lee before the fight. And then after the Jordan Perkins fight, it was around January time actually. So back in January, I started working again with my old coach Dean Lewis. So I'm flicking between the two, Lee and Dean. Like we got a good system going on, a good routine. And so I've been training with Dean since January, and we had a bit of time together before the Chris Borg fight, which was nice. But you don't really get that smoothness, that gelling straight away. It takes time. But now, I mean, like we've been working since the Chris Borg fight as well. Um, Me and Lee, we're smashing it together, and then with me and Dean now, we're gelling really well, and it's coming smooth. And we're working on specific things for this fight. So training's going like really well. I mean, I've been sparring 8 rounds the last few weeks, every spar, and I can carry on doing more. So fitness is good. We're working on different things, and you know, touch wood, and we'll leave it up to God. But hopefully, we've got the right game plan to get the victory.
100%. So obviously, on to the fight. If you were to get the victory, in July, and they say the words "and still," what do you think that would mean to you? And where do you think you sort of want to go from there?
Well, that would be a huge win because I know that Queensbury and the boxing community, they all highly rate Andrew Cain, and they all see him as like a world beater, going to the top. But end of the day, Chris Borg was meant to be a world beater, and he got beat in his last fight. Jordan Perkins was meant to be a world beater, and he got beat. Back in the day, Thomas Kingdom was 10-0, and I beat him. Paul Economides, 24-2, whatever it was, and I beat him as well. So I mean, even George with Gavin McDonald and boxing KFI and whatnot. So I mean, I've been against them all. They're all the world beaters that are meant to be world beaters. I've been against them all, and even when I wasn't really that great myself, I still managed to like hold myself in there and show I was at those levels. And now, I'm coming into my prime and I feel great, and I'm learning and improving. So, I feel really confident in beating Andrew Cain, and it will be on paper, it will be a huge win again. But I'm all game for these huge wins, and these are what I want. And if nothing tastes as sweet as victory as when you're a huge underdog, and that's why I'm in most of my fights. So God willing, I'll win this fight, and then you're looking at a massive fight. No, I mean, you've got the likes of Paul Butler, Charlie Edwards. I still want a Thomas Samba fight for the European, but I know that there's some politics holding that back. But then you got that Prince Patel, who's I think he's got a world title or whatever he's doing. So I mean, there's some good fights out there, but the Paul Butler fight's the fight I won. I mean, he's 36 fights, 3 losses. He's only never lost to pound for pound fighters, in Inui, Tete, and Casemiro. So I mean, for me to go in and fight Paul Butler for a world title or something like that, and I mean, he's ranked number 1 in the division in Britain, and I won that number 1 spot. So if you want it, you gotta take it off him.
100%, mate. And then lastly, have you got anything you want to promote, say for your socials, tickets to the fight, sponsors, anything like that?
Yeah, just give me a follow on Instagram, Ashlane68, or Facebook, Ashlane. I got my boxing, my official boxing page on Facebook. Give that a follow. I am on TikTok. I don't know what the handle is. I rarely use it. Just post a few videos here and there. Yeah, just give me a follow. Come along to the fights and enjoy it.
100%. Ash, thank you very much for your time once again, mate. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, best of luck in July. And yeah, we'll definitely do it again sometime.
No worries, Hayden. I'll talk to you after a win.